Hi, welcome to International Recaps. In the beginning of the film, two orphaned children are shown in this world. A man buys these children and makes them his slaves, after which they have more difficulties in their lives. Their lives were moving on, but he treated them very badly. The man used to do all kinds of work with them. Life was hard for those two children, but they both cared for each other. Their dreams and thoughts were all the same. When they grew up, they wanted to be good army generals. They used to cut and collect wood. After that, they fought with wooden swords. They trained together for many years. They trained to fight in order to become good soldiers. They started fighting well with their own wooden swords. One day, while they were training, a general came there. He saw these two having a good fight. Then he goes to the person who bought them. He says, "Our country is looking for good soldiers from all over the country. I have to take one of the two boys I saw fighting. He can take good training to join our good and great soldiers." But this was only for one person. Here, the one named Lee is very happy. He tells his friend that you have a chance to show your fighting skills. You go, I am very happy with him. One of us is going to be fulfilled. That night, they fought for the last time. Because they were going to leave in the morning, Lee tells his friend, "I will train to be a good fighter and try to reach you. That will make my dream come true." Lee has been working very hard since his friends' breakup. He goes on mountains and trains. Gradually, he becomes very good at war. Even a stone can be broken with his wooden sword. One day, Lee was resting in his hut. Then his friend comes to him. His condition was very bad. His friend says that the king's brother tried to kill him. When the king's brothers came to kill the king, they attacked me, thinking I was the king. Just before his death, Lee's friend gives him a map. He says you should go to the village with the help of this map. You will get an army there. You will be trained to be a warrior. After saying this, his friend dies. Lee starts running towards the village as soon as he hears his friend. Some bandits block his way. Lee uses his years of training there to kill those there one by one. He starts his journey again. Finally, he reaches the village where his friend gave him the address. There he met the king in a hut. The king had the same appearance as Lee's friend. He was surprised to see the king. The king tells him, "The reason why my general bought your friend was because the king and his friend were the same. My general wanted to know who was planning to kill me. That's why my general bought your friend, so he can find my enemies." On the other hand, the king's soldiers, looking for Lee's friend, approached the man who bought Lee and his friend as slaves as children. They realized that it was not the king that they had killed, but Lee's friend, who looked like the king. Lee was angry. That king sacrificed his friend to save himself. And during their conversation, who killed Lee's friend, thinking he was the king, and they tried to kill the king again. The killer was provoking Lee. "That your friend lost his life because of this king. Kill him. The king has betrayed you." But Lee doesn't listen to his words, and attacks the killer, because he was sure it was he who killed his friend. Lee and the killer fight a lot, and after long fights, Lee finally kills the assassin. Then he goes to the king, but Lee was still angry with him, because he has it in his mind that the real cause of his friend's death is the king. His friend lost his life because of this king. But the king said to him, "Your friend sacrificed himself for the country. I needed to be alive, because I want to rule my country. Stay with me. Don't go to my brother. He is a very bad and cruel person. Maybe if I was killed, this entire country would have been destroyed." King tells Lee, "Will you help me make a good army, so I can kill my brother? Avenge your friend's death." On the other hand, we are shown a brother of the king. He is very angry. He commands his people to send more troops to kill his brother. When King was in the forest with Lee, someone attacks him with a poison needle. But Lee attacks the man, fights hard with him, and kills that man. After killing him, he falls to the ground. Lee was unconscious because he was hit with a poison needle. But with his luck, the king saves him and takes care of him until he recovers. One day, many armies came to him. They panic when they see Lee with the king. But then they find out that he was a soldier of the general who bought Lee's friend. The general is close to the king. He still swears by his loyalty that he did not betray the king. Then he promises the king he will help the king to get back his royal throne and precious stone. On the other hand, the king's brother has not yet succeeded in killing the king. He declares his whole army that he is king of the whole kingdom. That is why he wanted to kill his brother. On the other hand, the king was very sad because his army was much smaller than his brother's army. He could not compete with them. Now the king's general tells him about the mountain tribe, who has many armies. He says they can help us. The king also agrees with the general. All of them reach the hill through a difficult route. Their welcome there is not what they expected. They are captured by the mountain tribe's army and taken to their leader. When the king goes to his leader and then tells him everything how his brother tried to kill him. He also wanted to cheat the country, but the leader refuses to help the king, because in the past, the king's army did many injustices to the hill tribes. But the king is here, asking forgiveness for his past sins. Seeing all this, the leader agrees to help. When the leader removes mask, it can be seen that this leader was a girl. She promises the king that she will help them. After that, they plan. Li will be sent as king. The king wears a mask and joins the army of the mountain tribe. Then they go to the king's brother's palace. Then the leader of the mountain tribe tells his commander that she and her army wish to join the royal army of the king's brother. The general, the king's brother, is very happy. Then he allows everyone to come into his kingdom. Because of that, everyone comes to the king's brother's palace. After that, they suddenly attack the army there. There, King, Li, and the general are asked to go undercover. He attacks the royal army. Here a fierce battle takes place between the army of the king's brother and the army of the mountain tribe. The mountain tribe's army was huge and good at fighting. The king succeeds in killing many soldiers there. On the other hand, when Li goes through the secret passage, then he has to face a huge monster on the way. But Li kills the monster with his sword. Then he enters the royal palace with his soldiers, where the king's brother sits comfortably on his throne. Then he calls his partner here, who was very strong, asks Li to compete with him. But Li accepts his words without fear. There is a very good sword fight between the two. Both were skilled in war. They were attacking each other again and again. Because both had the same fighting spirit, Li eventually kills the king's brother's partner. The king's brother was afraid to see his very brave partner die. He was trying to run away from the palace, but the mountain tribe's army surrounds him at the gate. Now it did not take long for the king to defeat his brother. The king defeats his brother in the first attack. Then the powerful general of the neighbor country comes there. He came and asked the king, what was the cause of this war? The king says he wanted to take his throne back from his brother, so he couldn't misuse it. The king tells the general to annex all the kingdoms of Japan, so everyone gets justice. Hearing these words, the general prepared to support the king. Everyone there celebrates their victory. The army of the mountain tribe is also ready to support the king forever. At the end of the film, the leader of the mountain tribe gives Li her sword. With courage and a sword, Li goes on his journey to become a general. And the movie ends here. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks.